Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm sorry I don't have a mic today. I'm traveling. But as it turns out, this has become a very important session. Thankfully, we've gotten an update on whether this recovery is going to last or not. And going by Gift Nifty right now, which I'll just share with you, it looks like this is not going to last. So Gift Nifty is down massively, and that I think is prompted by Dow Jones. If you guys can't hear me, do let me know because I do not have a mic, so it's possible that I might have trouble getting the sound through to you. But the idea is we saw a short covering rally in Nifty. That's what's happened. I haven't checked the FII DII data. Let me just take a quick look at that. So as kind of expected, we've had FIIs selling as they always do. Selling was lower, but hold on. Let's just look at NSE. So FPI selling was about 1900 crores, right? Yeah. So as expected, right? What else do we expect? Perfect. Thank you, Abhishek. So has anyone tracked Gift Nifty? Have you seen what has happened in Gift Nifty over the last half an hour or so? It's down by about 1.5%. And it's expected. And there are two reasons behind this. One is that there was a major escalation in the Iran war, where what the US has done is it has hit a gas field in Iran. And Iran, in return, has said that it's going to hit gas fields in the Middle East. Now, the issue is because it's a gas field, if it catches fire, then that becomes basically useless. I'm not aware of any ways to put out the fire in a gas field because I know that there is one in Russia that's been burning for decades. So that could become a major problem. Oil has responded as you expect. It's up, I think, 5% or so. See, this is, by the way, this is WTI crude, right? It's not Brent crude. So you'll see that sudden spike right here. So this, I would consider this to be the main spike because till here to we had digested when the market closed. But since then, this has gone up $5, which is about 5%. But this escalation is only one of the reasons. I think Dow Jones, the 300 and 400 points fall that we see here is because of what's going to happen here, which is the FOMC interest rate decision and this press conference mainly. See, we know that Powell has always been very careful about not letting inflation get entrenched. Do you guys know who Powell is? Jerome Powell? So, Sniper Dog, when you're going through a bear market, which I now firmly believe that we're in a bear market, like it would need some evidence for me to think that we're coming out of this lightly. I think 20% downside to Nifty may have from the top, not from here, but from the top 20% downside to hum dekhenge most likely Nifty mein because US's intentions have become clear. I'll come to that in 2 minutes, but let's first answer this question: why the markets had a gap up? One of my favorite people here, right? That's great, Raghav. That means you'll most likely make money today unless something drastically changes. Okay, so when you look at any bear market, right, I'll show you a chart for Nifty and focus on what happens in 2007, 2008, right? I'm sure you would have done this on your own. But even this period, right, after Jan 2008, everyone knew that the market was going to crash any day, every day, that valuations had to go. Banks were shutting down. This was no longer just the big investors who knew this. Everyone knew this. Still, look at this rally, right? 4,500 to 5,100. That's a 12% rally. 12%. That for Nifty, that would mean if we start at the bottom here at 2,300, a 12% rally takes us to what? About 26,000. Más o menos, 26,000. That can happen in the middle of a bear market. And that's why I say that whenever we're shorting in a bear market, when you know that the market has started falling 10% down, 20% down, you have to be very careful. So I have been booking profits. For example, I had cashed out of Muthoot Finance and then I went back in to short it. I cashed out of Muthoot Finance when it reached its 200 DMA because I knew bounce back aayega. And then I bought, as in shorted it again at around 33.50, something like that. So I saw 100 rupees ka nuksan, but I was okay with it. I'm okay with it going as far up as 35.50, even 3600. I'm okay with that till it reaches its 50 DMA. I'm still okay with that because us point pe the technical market comes in. And then if it crosses that convincingly, closes above that a couple of days, then my thesis goes wrong and I have to book out. So the idea is, even in a bear market, if you're short, I would keep booking profits and opening new positions because I'll get short covering rallies. And I don't want to miss out on that. I can really maximize my gains there. Like we do in bull markets, right? Once a stock rises, we do sell it, we go into another stock. That's rotation, right? It's very important in trading to keep bringing that money just from on paper to bring that really into your demat account, right? So it had a gap up yesterday, it had a gap up today. It might have finished. I'm kind of hoping that it hasn't because I wanted to short Ashok Leyland again. I booked out of it once. I think I caught the bottom there, mas o menos, 1 rupee or 2 rupee here or there. And then I'm getting another $8. 5,000 rupees is the lot, 5,000 shares is the lot size, I think. So I'm getting like a 35, 40,000 ka per lot advantage. I really wanted to short today, but I've been traveling today. I couldn't. Otherwise, this is really on my radar that really, really want to short it. And I've shorted BSE. I know many people are saying why, what not, but everything is going wrong for this stock. I think this is just distribution that we're looking at. I don't see how BSE keeps rising. No sniper dog. I'm not buying anything abhi tak. Okay, now I said that I'm going to talk to you about what has become evident about the US's plan, right? Now, I'm obviously not someone who can read people's minds, so I have theories, right? The intention is clear. The US does not want this war to end. That's a bottom line. Like, the trouble that we're seeing in the Middle East, it's very clear that the US wants to increase the trouble, increase the instability there. Because of this trouble in the Middle East, the US isn't really suffering. They might go into a recession here, blah, blue, because oil prices rise and whatnot, but the defense industry will win out there. They're an oil exporting nation. In the net, they'll end up making money. There might be a deeper plan that my brain is too small to understand. But I feel like the US doesn't come out as one of the biggest losers here. They'll be among the winners. Russia is obviously the biggest winner, maybe even China. But the US isn't one of the biggest losers. The biggest losers are us, India. Literally the biggest loser in the entire world because of the Gulf War is going to be India. Now, this does serves a second purpose for the US, which could be a distraction from the Jeffrey Epstein files and whatnot. Now, I'm no political commentator, so I'm not going to go deep into that. But the intention is clear. They attacked a hospital. They killed the leadership. They have attacked gas fields. They have attacked desalination plants. All of these things are red lines that you don't cross in war. But they've crossed all of those. If the US wanted to protect the oil trade, why would they attack Iran's oil fields? That does not put any pressure on Iran. So we have to be smart enough to understand that the US doesn't want this to end. And Mojtaba, the new Ayatollah, is not going to end this because he's lost his family. So this is the thing, na, Sniper Dog. Sometimes when your interests align, as far as I can understand the geopolitics here, priorities change with time, right? Now, I might not like someone and I would want to win against them, but sometimes I'll be in a position where what is good for me is also good for them. Donald Trump has to, one, the Jeffrey Epstein thing is still lingering over their heads, and that is a big deal. Poland today announced that they're going to start investigating those files. So it hasn't died out. That's one thing. The second is US has managed to source enough oil to keep itself alive. The attack on Venezuela was not a coincidence. This all seems to be part of a bigger plan. Now, if I go any deeper into this, it becomes a conspiracy theory, right, Sniper Dogs? I don't want to go there. All I want to limit myself to is what I can deduce from the actions. And the actions clearly tell us that the US does not want this war to stop. There is no justifiable explanation for the US attacking Iran's gas fields. That's a confirmed news, right? There was also some destruction at Iran's only functioning nuclear plant. So there's no justifiable explanation for this other than escalation. And why the US wants escalation? Now, that is where you go into conspiracy theories, right? So I don't want to go to that element. For me, what matters is where is the war going? What can we see about the war and how that impacts financial markets? That's all that I will stop myself at. Otherwise, someday I'm going to drive myself crazy, right? Thinking about conspiracy theories. So the US doesn't want it to end. That's what I've deduced so far. And till that's done, till that's a finality, the markets cannot bottom out. Oil at 120 is what India is sourcing. India is not sourcing oil at 100. Definitely not, Sniper Dog. There's no financial market that is investable at the moment. Maybe Russian financial markets, that could be interesting, but I don't know of an instrument that we as retail investors could use to invest there. So I wouldn't put myself in that position. I think the best place to be right now is extremely safe bonds or just savings account, and savings account at good banks. I mean, I'm talking HDFC, ICICI, Kotak kind of banks. Israeli stock market. Huh? Weirdly, it's been going up. I can't make heads or tails of this. Why is the Israeli market rising? Anyway, the point that comes out of this is, and there's another element that I don't think is spoken of in the news here, right? So I saw Mr. Ajay Bagga's interview today. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he was clear about this, and this is something I talked about last on the Sunday as well. That the oil market, the futures market, and the trading market that we see on our screens shows oil at $100, but in actuality, oil is being traded at 120, 130. Meaning, if you physically want the oil as India needs, that's trading at 125, 30. The futures market is trading at 100 for some reason that I cannot understand. So oil has already reached a point. 120, 130 means Nifty should at equivalent level be 20,000, not even 22. Oil 120 sustained is Nifty 20,000, at least, if not worse. And then there's another interview that came in on CNBC television of this expert. She's not very famous. I haven't seen one of her interviews, Pele, but she very smartly put why, even if the war ends today, right now, it's going to take 6 months for oil prices to fall below 80. They can fall up to 80, best case scenario. But it's going to stay at 80 or above for at least 6 months because of the disruptions that have already happened. One is supply chains are disrupted, so all the ships are in the wrong places. That's something. Second is there are so many fields that have been shut down or reduced in capacity. And I was speaking to one of my petroleum engineer friends. He works for Shell, and I asked him about this. How does this affect the pipeline? And he said because the pressure's gone down, now someone has to reignite that pressure. Now I don't understand the jibber jabber behind it. I'm not smart enough to understand the engineering behind it, but it takes time. It can't happen in a day. And sometimes it just does not come back. Sometimes the oil just finds another route and settles down, and then you never get that same pressure back. That's a possibility. Regardless, this interview clarified that oil can't come below 80 anyway. 80, if oil stays above 80, the Indian markets don't trade above 24, 25,000. Best case, 29,000, 26,000 is the top. Like we don't go above that. So that kinds of limits are upside. Now, the second problem is Mr. Jerome Powell. He's going to come out today and his worst fears have been realized. I genuinely believe he's a good guy trying to do something nice in a very uh, unstable environment. But he's been very clear that he doesn't want inflation to get entrenched. And that's why he didn't cut rates, even against this much political pressure. And today he's going to come out and he's going to be hawkish because he needs to be. It's evident if gas prices have risen by 30% in the US, that's inflation going back to 4%, 3.5%, 4% in the US. That's way beyond what the Fed can tolerate. And if this stays for 6 months, the inflation gets entrenched. Now, what is entrenched inflation? It means inflation rises so much that wages cannot basically keep up, and then aid needs to flow out, and because that aid needs to flow out, that increases inflation. I'm oversimplifying this, but the idea is that the inflation cannot be brought down by simple means. You have to give the economy a massive shock. If you guys have read about Paul Volcker, if anyone has, let me know here. Paul Volcker was a guy who raised interest rates to 20% in the US overnight. My situations, so right now I'm at a hotel, so no worries. But in my area in Bangalore, nothing has changed. We use piped LPG, so that's not been a problem. But for example, someone who works for me, he did. We went somewhere, and he did go with me to get an induction cooktop, and I also bought one just for safety reasons. But nothing's happened so far. Though I do think this situation could get worse. I mean, right now we've sourced enough. I think we got 4 tankers, right, of LPG. I was reading somewhere that we need 10. So we haven't managed to meet that quota. I think the point I'm trying to get across to you guys is that whatever you're reading and looking at in the news, I don't think it's showing enough. I don't think we're really seeing the true picture. I think it's much worse than we think. Because every time we've had an oil shock, the situation becomes much, much worse than what we're seeing. If crude oil is actually being traded at 130, why are futures at 100? Like, if that is not manipulation, then what is market manipulation, right? Definitely, Durgamati. There's absolutely no doubt about that. NBFCs, especially, are in major trouble. They already were. I think the credit default ratio to credit card defaults were very high anyway. I think, but in smaller ticket loans, we had reached 10%. And this is going to get much worse from here, because what we are now going to see is economy slowing down. And be very careful of metals. I think they will fall like a rock now. I've been short metals, I've told you guys that, but now they're going to fall like a rock, because now this oil going above 100 again, staying at 120, 130, this means all economies slow down, and that's how a metal super cycle ends. So if this is going to happen, then if you remember, I made a video on metal super cycle and how I would be buying into metals in when the bear run ends and I get into another bull run, we get into another bull run. That call is off for now. Like, just off for now, because I think if this stays the way it is, then metals will be the biggest losers, at least the sharpest losers. So I'm already short on Vedanta. I've recently added a short on Vedanta. I'm short on Hindustan Zinc. I don't remember if I covered it. Let me just check. I had thought of, but I've been traveling today, so I'm not sure. And I'm short on Nalco. You guys already know that. I really wanted to short more stocks today, and I'm still short on Hindustan Zinc. So you can see I'm already at, like, I think 83,000 or something up on Hindustan Zinc. My biggest loser is Nalco. 150,000 per lot is my loss in Nalco, but I'm going to hold it. I don't care how far it goes. Sale is always in the ban here, Sniper Dog. Can't really short it. It's so manipulated. So that the floating stock, right, is too low. It's so easy to take it into a ban, and once it goes in ban, anything can happen here. So if I want to short a steel stock, JSW Steel looks amazing to short. Massively overvalued, isn't it? Tata Steel is still fair because Europe will suffer and it has a massive exposure to Europe. So if I'm shorting, I wouldn't short SAIL because it doesn't have the consistency I need. If I want to get out of my position someday, I can. But if I want to build a position any day, I can't. So I can't really trade now. If I want to book profits thinking I'll short again if there's a short covering rally, I can't do that. That kind of puts me in a bind. I wouldn't short SAIL. 2026, I think we'll see a rally, Raghav. This, I don't think it's going to last for like 9 months, because you have to understand, Raghav, even if the situation remains bad, but it's got to its worst point, right? The markets price it in. Uske baad, the situation has to get worse for the market to fall further. You understand what I mean? Like, Nifty's reached your 23,000 about, right? Because it digested that oil is at 90, 95, somewhere there. Now, if oil goes to 105, 110, if the situation gets worse, and it priced in that the war will last a month, right? We've got safety crude coming in from the OPEC nations. We've got the 400 million balance release. Saudi's got an alternative pipeline, all that. The market assumed all that, said, fine, it's bad. Let's crash 10%. We're good. Now it's gotten worse. Today, clearly, it's gotten worse. Now the markets have to reprice it. So it can only keep getting worse for what, 3 months, 4 months, and then we see something. Let's say worst case scenario, what happens? Israel drops a nuke on Iran. That's the bottom, right? What can happen after that? Like, that's the worst case scenario. Iran doesn't have a nuke to nuke back, right? China and Russia are not going to come in and nuke Israel because they nuked Iran, right? So in that situation, even though after that we're still going to have trouble for months, months and months, but the markets would have priced that in, and that's when rallies begin. Because then you're making a bottom. It might take a month, it might take 2 months, then we rise again. So what I'm betting on is that we will see a rally this year. I am very confident about it. I feel like, from just intuition, right, from the markets I have seen, I feel like June, July is when we'll start making a bottom. By then we would have gotten to the worst case, and there are more things. I think there are more dominoes to fall. This is the trigger. This is the black swan event. But black swan events don't cause crash. Or let me put it another way. Black swan events are the trigger. The bullet is always something else. The bullet could be private credit. The bullet could be AI as a bubble or as an unemployment generator. In fact, I'm giving a TEDx talk day after in Delhi. I'm in Delhi abhi. and I'm giving a talk in Bharati Vidyapeeth College of Engineering day after, and I'm going to be talking about how AI is reshaping employment. What kids or young people, can do to make the most out of it. So if you guys are in Delhi, feel free to join me there, or just drop me a message. I'm staying in Chanakyapuri. We can meet up. Right, that's all available if you guys are in Delhi. But my basic point was that we can still see a rally, even if the situation stays bad for a bit. Um, Look, if you've entered it as a delivery, right, Chirag, then there's nothing to feel bad about, because you know that when you've bought a stock for the long term, these aren't bad prices to go in for the long term any day. As long as it's a tranche, it should not be that you've invested all your capital into them, right? So yeah, inflation is making a comeback. There's no doubt about it. The only thing that we have to be careful about is that it doesn't become entrenched, because that is a scenario where the stock market gives you zero returns for 5 6 years. We don't want to be in that position. And the worst part for India here is that our new RBI governor, who I think did a very wise thing initially, he front loaded all the liquidity, front loaded all the rate cuts. So in that moment, it was a very wise decision. That's why we saw growth come back in this quarter, right? To some extent, we saw growth come back in this quarter. GST was also part of it, but he really did influence that. Now the problem is we front loaded it. So we have RBI policy pushing the economy to grow faster, and then we have inflation coming in from external sources. So that's a double boost for inflation. So for India, we had avoided inflation in the last cycle 21. If you remember, we didn't get as bad an inflation run. I think this time it's much tougher for us to avoid it. I'm very curious to see how the government handles this one. This is very tricky, but hopefully this government has shown that they can manage complex situations. So I'm hoping that they find something here as well. Which one, Durgamati? Tell me about it. So I have been short Eternal for a while, Sniper Dog. I think I've been short on Eternal. I made a video on why nobody should be buying Eternal. So it's not about, I don't understand, just the fact that it's a new age company, right? Like there are some brilliant new age companies. Ether Energy is one of them. Inox India is another one of them. Max India is another one of them. There are some brilliant new age companies. But Narayan Hridyalaya, but Eternal is a company that has no moat. If Eternal shuts down tomorrow, my life doesn't change. I just order off of Swiggy. I'm going to ask you that question. Does your life change one bit if Eternal shut down tomorrow? Then the company doesn't have moat. Full stop. It's that simple. If a company has moat, plain and simple, your life should be disrupted, or whoever the consumer is, their life should be disrupted. Here, there is zero pain. So I've been short for a while, and I'm going to stay short. This stock has to go a long way down. Bear market or no bear market. It might have short covering rallies. It might have distribution drives and all that. I can't figure that out. I never pretended to be smart enough to figure that out. But I know that valuations dictate that the stock has to go much lower. But the key here is this. Look, in this bear market, we are in a bear market is first. That I've always told you guys that I think. Today I'm saying that I'm 99% there now. Like I don't need any further proof. I'm saying 99% because anything can change, and then I'll have to change my opinion because I'm also a slave to the market, right? The markets don't listen to me. I have to listen to them. But from everything I know, we're in a bear market. So we'll see short covering rallies, massive short covering rallies, but that's the time to short. And my strategy is pretty simple. I find the weakest stocks to short. The moment I get a decent profit out of it, or I feel like the market sentiment has become oversold, I'm going to book a little. Maybe 25% of my shorts I'll cut, right? Book some profit. And I'll wait because I'll get a short covering rally. Maybe I won't time it perfectly. Maybe it'll happen after a day. Maybe it'll happen after 2 days. But when that short covering happens, that's when I'll short more. Exactly what I did with Muthoot Finance. Exactly what I should have done with Ashok Leyland, but I didn't. I think 22,000 is too high a target, Chirag, for what we're seeing now. I know we talked about it, but 22,000 is the support. That's I think the base case scenario. Again, we could be tricked. The market might show up moves and all that, but I feel like other pillars are going to start falling now. It's carried on for too long. The financial pressure on the US economy from the slowdown in the Middle East is massive. You should really do some reading about it. Just ask AI and ask AI to give you links as well. I prefer Gemini. Take your pick, but ask it to share links with you as well, so you know that it's valid. Sometimes AI can just come up with random pieces of news, but ask AI about how much money from the Middle East flows into the US through petrodollars. Just Google that with AI, and you'll realize that this whole AI bubble, quote unquote, whether bubble or not, the whole AI valuation was propped up by money from the Middle East, one way or another. And that money has stopped. That means the US market has essentially become hollow from the inside. Add to that, 70% of trading in the US market, trading volume in the US market comes from high frequency traders. So the day their models break down, we see a liquidity vacuum, because their model is all based on extreme price movements, right? I have an HFT friend, a friend who worked in HFT. We used to play football together, and they only care about volatility. The moment a VIX spikes for any individual stock, so if it spikes for shorting, as in the stock has gone down, they're going to go long, trim 0.5%, 1%, exit. Sometimes the stocks don't go up. That means these models break down. So this I'm just showing you that there are many parallels where things can go wrong. This is one parallel. Sorry, Middle East liquidity problem is another parallel. You have the whole AI unemployment. Either it generates unemployment or the valuation busts. That is a problem. So there's a lot of things that can happen. 22,000, I don't see how I don't know how we hold that. I hope, but I don't know how we hold that. See, that's the thing, Raghav. I mean, it's going to be much worse than you think, bud. Like, I'm short, so I know that the AI bubble bursts. I make a lot of money. So great. But I know some people who are brilliant people around me, my very close friends. I know some of them will lose their jobs. If this bubble bursts in one way or another, either by the unemployment route or by the failure to produce something meaningful route, either way, it means a massive amount of pain in the real world, not just the stock market. We haven't seen that. Anyone here who was wise enough during the 2008-9 crisis? I was 16 about then, I think. I was 1991 born, so I was some 16, 17 then. I remember I saw what had happened then. It's a it's very painful for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's very painful. So I hope there's pain enough to make us very rich, but I also hope that it's not enough to destroy a lot of people's lives. But anyway, coming back to what we were talking about, is the recovery sustainable? No. Everything that we've seen so far tells me no. It We'll always get bear traps. We'll always get bear traps. We have to be careful of those, right? Now, how does this change, right? What is my thesis for how do I spot that, you know what, I've been proven right? The day someone reputed from Iran says that they're looking for the war to end, that's when it changes. Then the market gives us a run up. But that should also be sold into, because there are many other problems. And for me, in terms of timeline, I don't see how everything sorts itself out in less than 2 to 3 months. Because even if the war ends, figuring out the logistics is going to be another issue. Restarting the fuel pipelines are going to be another issue. Yes, the market digests it sooner, no doubt. But the money doesn't start flowing. That's my main issue. No? The liquidity that we need, that the US needs, that doesn't start flowing. So, there's another thing here. If India even gets Iran to keep sending the ships to India, let's say India gets Iran to allow ships to come through, the US won't let that happen eventually. You have to understand this. There is no scenario where the US lets India and China come out of trouble while it is in trouble, as long as it can help it. All Donald Trump has to say is that if Western ships can't pass through, no ships can pass through. We will also attack ships that Iran is letting through. So none of the Iran's ships can make through. They have their destroyers there, easy pickings. So yeah, Sniper Dog, Iran could go into a civil war, but the IRGC is an extremely powerful force. It's extremely powerful. They've basically been rounding up everyone who could act against the government, because they know that the US intelligence services and the Israeli intelligence services will try that, right? They are some intelligent people, right? They're also leading a country in a kind of a dictatorship. They're smart people. You don't get to run a country if you're not incredibly smart, smarter than you and me are right now, for sure. So they know this could happen. They're taking steps to make sure that does not happen. So that's the thing. That is where we caught in a trauma. And it's catch 66. That's what it's called, right? Or catch 52. If anyone knows, do let me know. But so that's where we catch 22, I think it's called. That's where this is a catch 22. There's no exit out of this. And the US had a chance to make an exit where it takes a small defeat. It basically destroyed Iran. It could have come out as the winner. That we've weakened Iran to a point where they can do very little, or it could have gone in with, maybe even gone in with troops and seen what it could do. But to attack gas fields and to attack desalination plants just takes it to a point where what are they thinking, other than they're trying to keep this going so that the pain spreads across the world and they distract us from something else that they're doing. I've kind of had to accept that. I didn't want to. Everyone was saying this, Asman Gold and whatnot. Everyone on the YouTube was saying this. I didn't want to accept that. Why would anyone want to put so many people through trauma and death? But seems like that's where we are, right? So that's my point. Like, right now there is no exit out. We'll get sharp short covering rallies. You have to be very careful when shorting, very, very careful when shorting. And this is something that most people don't realize. Most traders go bust during bear markets, not because they were long, as long as they had some discipline and margin. They go bust during shorting. Because when you're shorted a stock and it goes up 10% in one day, because short covering happens in one day. Stocks go up 5%, 5%, done. That's a 12% gain in 2 days. And you're wondering, oh my God, should I cover? So be very careful when shorting. And where a decent amount of money is made, I'm booking profits. I've booked out a lot of stocks and then shorted different stocks, or even shorted the same one after a bounce up. It's very important to keep doing that. Otherwise, we'll keep checking this and mentally we'll break down. We have to take care of our, because I'm sure you guys have realized this by now, right? It's all the brain, right? Sumit, look, my opinion might be a little bit radical, but I don't think so. I don't think it's worth the money all the time anymore. No. We've moved. In fact, the talk I'm giving day after, I'm saying that I'm going to stop looking for a job. And if you don't want a job, what does an MBA give you? That you don't learn in the real world. I think jobs, Microsoft came up with this discussion, right? Where they said they're actively looking for people who don't have a degree anymore because those people get jobs done. So I don't think that degrees hold any value. And at least 5 years from now, I don't think degrees will hold too much value. Especially if you're thinking about a US MBA. So I have a cousin, nephew, actually. He's my age, but he's my nephew. And he wants to stay in the US. And I've told him so many times that it's a waste of money and time. But that's my belief. He's still doing it. I'm happy for him because he's happy. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm wrong. But let me put it this way. If my son came to me with an advice, I'd say don't do the MBA. If he had to ask this question, I'd say don't. There's many better things to do. Whitefield, Prestige Shantiniketan. Computer science and then entrepreneurship and then quantitative finance. One after the other. But I think most of my real education has been watching my dad trade when I was really young. So I always go back to that memory of typing 375. That was Satyam's code before the bust, before the whole Kant, we call it, right? What was this guy's name? I forget his name now. There was a movie on him. But I remember then Satyam was a big stock. And you had to sit on a screen, type in a code to check volume. No, my graduation was in Delhi, St. Stephen's. And my postgrad was in Sade in Spain. And then this thing, so I did a couple of courses on finance. Beginner course I did from this guy, Robert Fisher, who's from Yale, but then online, of course. I could not travel anymore. I'd already done a master's. So, but I love Bangalore. I think in India, it's my favorite city. I haven't lived in Mumbai though. I like it better than Delhi though. Delhi has better food. Delhi also has better nightlife, I think. But hey, we're getting distracted, right? Let's come back to this. So I'm going to short AMCs if I'm going to do anything, Krishna. Like, for example, HDFC AMC, I was thinking about shorting it. Hey, Janan, so I'm in Delhi abhi. I'm probably going to meet the publisher on Sunday. Everything's been finalized, but they have a backlog, I think. So they're working through it. When they publish is up to them. But I'm going to talk to him this weekend. Let's see what they say. We're getting really distracted, guys. But let's come back to this. Last question. I'll answer this, but let's come back to this. I've traveled a little bit here. I mean, I've traveled Southeast Asia, gone to Europe a few times. I've traveled a little bit, but that's mostly been vacations. To study, it was mainly Spain. Taken a few vacations. My wife likes to travel. Oh, book publishing event, Abhishek. I'll see if we get even 10, 5, let's say 5, 6 people, no? Then I'll try to organize a get together in Bangalore. 5, 10 people. Someday we'll try to do this. Yeah, of course. I've been to Kerala. This was 2021, right after my marriage, because of the whole lockdown situation and everything. We'd gone to Kumarakom. Gone to Kumarakom. It was wonderful. We'll meet up. We'll make something happen. Abhi to I'm in Delhi, but next Wednesday when we talk now, let's create a plan. Am I rich? No, dude. Like, you know what rich is? Rich is going to the tarmac to board your plane instead of going to, let's say, the business class security check-in. That's rich. I'm not rich. Tourism potential is pick a northeastern state. Potential, right? Then you just pick a northeastern state. But if I was to buy land, I'd buy Leh. I've been to Leh. I really want to buy land there. So Ghost Gunner, Ether Industries has this incredible combination, right? It works with all the right products, which have a moat. Like not everyone can create those products. One, it is expanding but without debt. That's a massive plus. It arguably has the best management that you could create for that company. Like if I was to sit and create a management specifically for that business and that company, I could not do a better job than the management they have. Everyone in the management, one, they're family owned and they're motivated. Everyone has the exact credentials they should have. They have a research scientist, they have an operations specialist, they have experience. So that's what more do we need? So the best thing about arbitrage funds is that as long as they're managed by someone who's really seen bear markets, because as much as I understand, most of the fund managers we see right now haven't really seen real bear markets, other than the ones who are 55, 60 plus. They saw the 2008 crisis and managing their own funds. Everyone else was a kid, like my age, right? I'm 35 now. Even up to 45, they weren't really managing their own fund because 30-year-olds don't get to manage a 20,000 crore ka fund, right? So if your fund manager is 40, 45, they haven't seen a real bear market, then I would stay away. Thanks, man. Like, it's a pleasure. I also have to think. Yes, Sniper Dog, Delta Corp's falling and I'm ready for it. It could go down to 20. I'll be accumulating. I'm buying in very small tranches, like 1,000 shares at a time. I'll keep buying. Jitna girta hai girne do. Now, in the end, is it possible that Delta Corp goes bust? Maybe something comes out, sure. But I don't see why the company should trade below the cash reserve it has. It makes no sense. Let me show you Delta Corp's balance sheet and its market cap. How is this even possible? Market cap is at 1,500 crores, right? Look at the balance sheet. Their reserves are 2,300 crores. In which universe does that make sense? Meaning, if the company was to be sold today, forget about all the boats and buildings and equipment they own, right? Their asset value. This is their cash reserves. It makes no sense. If I don't buy Delta Corp, I should get out of the financial markets. Then I'm lying to you guys, right? Why isn't the promoter buying it? That's a fairly good question, I guess. But I don't know why they wouldn't buy it, right? I know that sometimes I don't ask too many questions. When I see that the math is telling me here 1 is not equal to 1, here it's clearly not equal to 1, that means I have to buy. Can I go wrong? Of course. That's why I have risk management, right? I'm not going to make it more than 2% of my portfolio, maybe even 3 or 4, given how good a value it seems. But even if I lose the 4%, okay, I lose it. Fine. I can go wrong. I will go wrong with some stocks. I'm not going to make money on every bet. But if I don't do this, then I'm going against everything I believe about the stock market. Then who am I? Then I'm just guessing. Then I'm a gambler. So I have to buy stock, even if my intuition would tell me, oh, something's wrong. I'm still going to go 1% because math dictates it. And that discipline is needed on both sides, not buying and buying, not just one side. He just put it. Delta Corp is a massively undervalued stock. Even Rajesh Exports, though Rajesh Exports has bigger issues, like their management seems to just not care. But if I'm just talking pure undervalued, maybe because you've mentioned it, but Delta Corp is so undervalued that it's beyond a shadow of a doubt. I gotta think 5-10 years, right? I gotta be ready for it to go down to $5. But I gotta keep the stock. So one of the most undervalued stocks. There are many undervalued, but this is just massively. So I'd still pick Delta Corp there, Sniper Dog. Even Gensol to we just have to make sure the management doesn't cheat us out. That's the only way it goes, the money really goes away. Otherwise, it's such a small loss for such an upside potential. We have to. I mean, if I don't, as I said, if I don't do this, then I have no right to sit in front of you guys and say anything. I am short on Shriram Finance, correct. I think I'm making money on it as well. Today, I'm just going to show you guys proof as well. Shriram Finance, I went short on at 1,025. It's still at 1,025. See that 1,49,000, 50,000 ka loss? That's Nalco. So I'm going to stay short. Let it rise. Let it ride as much as it needs to. I have got margin. I never leverage my positions. So I've got enough margin, let it rise. It can't go to 1,000, right? If it goes to 1,000, then well, it went to 1,000. What can I do? I'll have to short more. The cycle's going to end someday. But I think we've reached that point. I think we've reached the point where they have to start falling. Well, if I look at just what I have right now, because I created new shorts yesterday, I think then I'll seem to be in a loss. But I've booked about what loss you see here. I've booked significantly more than that in the last, I think, this week and Friday combined. So as I said, I've booked out of a lot of my shorts, and then I've shorted again over the last 2 or 3 days as the market has been rising for the next fall. So over the last 2 weeks, I have, touch wood, massive returns. So I think I made a video and we talked live as well about how I had 50% returns by mid-Feb. That has gone up to 100% now on Motilal Oswal. So that's from September to now. Yesterday, today it fell by lakh or so, lakh and a half. But otherwise, that has been 100% return in my futures only trading from August, September to March. 100% return in falling market. Touch wood. Luck has a big role to play as well. My wife has a major role. She kept me sane. But anyway, Hind Copper, I'm not short on it right now, but I think it's fallen too much. Look, Dr. Copper always suffers when economies suffer. So let me show you the right one. Sorry. So Dr. Copper always suffers when copper suffers. I was thinking about shorting it. Honestly, I checked it today in the flight. I was checking it, but I don't have the margin of safety I need. If I get a rally now, if it goes up to, let's say, 550 or something, a 10% rally nearly, then I would want to short again. Or even if it goes just to its 50 DMA, right? It's at 535. At 530 about, I'd be ready to short. But this is a very weird place to short. Because I have no near stop losses or targets. Now think about it. I don't really do the target wala thing, but I need to have in my mind an idea that, if it goes to this point, I'm going to start considering to get out of the position because it's already fallen enough. But that stands here at about 15% up. That's too much risk to start with. If I go into a trade and then it goes the other way, sure, I can keep patience. But to start the trade, this seems greedy now. I'd much rather just hold on to the money, make my money on the way up. It will rise again, right? See? If it's going to fall, it's going to rise. So patience there. Trading. Delivery mein, yeah, I would. I would get out of it because I'm sure I'd be in profit if I had bought it, but I would. Though, see, delivery is a thing that it depends on your time horizons. I never like to say that anyone should sell out their delivery position, especially a company like Hindustan Copper, because it's not going anywhere, right? It's always going to be around and someday it's going to give returns. So I don't like saying sell off deliveries, but if I was trading for 6 months, I would be out of it in a flash. If I was trading for 1 year, I'd be out of it in a flash. But if I'm thinking long term, then why sell a company that we know is going to eventually do well? So look, I don't track the company here, but I'll try to do the best I can looking at it. Could you spell it right, please? Have I made a mistake? No. Could you just spell it right, Sumit? Um, Anything that I missed here? What type of trading do I do, Aditya? And so mine is, you'd call it positional trading in futures alone. I've just picked up a book on options. See, I started reading this a while back. I've just started reading this now because I feel like there are certain situations like the one we're in. If you want to see it again, it's this. It's called the Bible. And I'm not being sponsored or anything, but it's called the Bible of options trading. So I'm reading into this, then I'm going to create like a simulator of sorts and see if I want to get into long dated options. But I only do futures and positional. Like it's not about a technical short or technical long. It's that macro or policy or fundamentals dictate that this stock should not be trading at this point or that point. Then I go short, and technicals only help guide my path. Where should I think about coming out of the stock? At what point should I make a quick trade, like Muthoot Finance, right? Hits 200 DMA, I should come out of it. It'll rise 5%. I can short again. Give me 1 second, guys. I just need to set up the charger. I'm gonna lose this thing. Give me 1 second. Please do not. On. Okay. So we have Vedanta. I shorted, so that answers my opinion. Oil India. Let me look at it. Um, Heavily policy driven. I mean, oil should go up. That should technically benefit Oil India. But now we're not looking at a market where valuations matter. Remember the bull run 2020, 2021, then again 2023? Valuations didn't matter, right? Every stock rose. The opposite happens in bear markets. Valuations don't matter, but everything falls. Nothing is immune. So, on that basis, I wouldn't be in PSUs because even policy decisions can change a lot. And then you have Godfrey Phillips. Sorry. Sorry, fat fingers. Let's see. With the amount it's fallen, maybe, but it's too small a company for me to really work with. Yeah. And I think we spoke about this last Sunday with the whole liquor and cigarettes business. My main issue is that they're a dying business. The next generation is not interested in these things. Most of the next generation is not. And I spoke about Godfrey Phillips, I think. ITC cigarettes I'd still be fine with because their customer is the lower middle class in India, right? Like the people who are smoking in tier two, tier three cities, looking for a cheap cigarette. That segment still is smoking enough. But in the more educated segments, parents have been so wise in training their kids, and even movies now, that cigarettes are losing their traction, especially the likes of Marlboro and the more expensive one, Dunhill and everything, right? So if you're thinking long term, Fortis is a stock you can hold, but so this isn't sustainable. What you see here, right, this rise, that's not sustainable. It has to come back to mean. I know valuations look good, but you see this change, right, in earnings. It's long due for a downturn here. And I think the worst part is Fortis isn't doing anything special. Like, I don't remember the last time I heard someone say that I want to go to Fortis because it's the best hospital. People talk about Narayana, people talk about Max, sometimes even Manipal. I haven't heard that about Fortis in a while. Other than I think there's one in Gurgaon. Maybe I've heard about him. But Max and Narayan Hridyalaya. And then there's Rainbow. If I'm in this sector in healthcare, then Rainbow, Max, Narayan Hridyalaya would be my picks. And Rainbow is giving us a decent price, though there's been a desk crossover. So I'm holding a B. As in holding back, I haven't bought into it more. But why go into Fortis? Valiant Organic. Let's see. What are the chemicals that they make? Benzene has a nice, I mean, benzene derivatives are useful in industry. Let's just put it that way. I'll need to do research on this. Yeah, I need to do some research on this. I can't directly tell you anything. It's too small a company for technical analysis or anything. I'll need to really study this sniper dogs. I'll do some studying and then we can talk about it next time. Sterlite Tech I'll stay away from for now. I really want to buy into IT. I talked about it last time as well. I really want to start buying into IT. I really feel like buying into IT, but we don't know what AI is going to do. I still don't know if AI is going to turn out to be a bust or a massive success. Till that picture clears, it's too big a risk. Like if you notice, IT has given a massive return. Na? Sunday ko I told you guys about this. Look at the last. Let me show you 5 days ka chart. Like, look, this is we spoke on what Sunday. Friday ko closed here. It's what 5% up from Friday, and then Tuesday se to it's gone up 10% or so. I really wanted to buy them there. I really thought there was a trade, but I don't know if this chart is headed all the way down to 500 or if it's going to back to its all-time highs. It all depends on how IT plays out and how these companies deal with it. So let's, even if I leave Coforge, I'm short on Tech Mahindra right now. I want to be long. I've been short for a while. I'm massively in the money Tech Mahindra mein to bhi. But I don't know if this is going down to 973 or if it's going up to 2000. I can't give you a thesis. I can't even give you a theory because it's all shrouded. I don't know if I should believe the AI hype or doubt it. So I'd stay away from them. I was short on Adani Ports, Janan. I covered my position though. It's just me booking profits. I kind of regret it. But if I was to short, I'd wait a little bit, I think, because we don't know. It's an Adani stock. They behave very weirdly at times. So I wouldn't short it, but fundamentally, it's a certain short. It has no right to trade at 25 times multiples, especially given the port in Iran. It really should not be trading. So fundamentally, yeah, but we know what happens to Adani stocks. Weird things happen to Adani stock. It might just go circuit up when we get the worst possible news. Did you see Adani Total Gas? They came out with the news that they had to reduce their business and the stock started going up circuits. How does a short cover, how does someone who's shorted a short seller deal with that? It breaks you internally. So I'd kind of protect my psyche, not go into it. 2.0, what is that? Any other questions, guys? I'll just summarize this for us, right? Short coverings in bear markets are very sharp and very deadly. Yeah, I know. I saw 10% up. I was like, there has to be a news. I checked everywhere and all I saw was negative news. Then someone asked me here, and my only answer was, it makes no sense. Like sometimes just senseless things happen. But my point is, I know that I've been talking about how the market is going to fall a lot, and that might really make you think like shorting is a great idea, but you have to be very careful. So please think 10 times before you make a decision. And the minimum that I would do is have a lot of margin. If the market is asking me for, let's say, 2 lakhs ka margin to short a big stock, I would want to have at least 4 lakhs ka margin. And then I'll short one lot. At least 4 lakhs ka margin. I showed you for that reason. I showed you guys that I'm 1,50,000 in loss in Nalco. 1,50,000 in one. This is just one of my portfolios. I have at least 4 portfolios and enough lots. So I'm taking a massive hit in Nalco. But I'm taking it knowing that I have more margin to work with. I'm leaving margin in my file. And that if you're shorting, that is a very, very important thing to do because short covering rallies are brutal. Yeah, so 50% of my money is not even in my demat account because I know if it's there, I'll reorganize everything. So I've kept that out. Net may, I think I'm short on about 20-25% of my is what I've used as margin. 20% is what I've used as margin. Russian. Definitely not. Confidence Petroleum and everything to Sumit, I'm 10, 20 steps away from. No chance. No. Anything linked to the petroleum sector right now it can be lit on fire by one policy change. I would stay miles away from, especially something like Confidence Petroleum. Janan, I don't understand what you mean by Russian. Acha, okay. Now I get it. Sorry, I didn't connect the two. Yeah, that makes sense. That's the perfect rationing. Yeah. Reliance is a stock. I mean, come on, what can I say about it? Long term, of course, and even short term, it could benefit. Huh? It's possible. Suddenly, let's say Venezuelan crude is directed to India because of pressure for crude. Reliance will benefit massively because it has this refinery that can process that heavy crude. Why do you think US has set up a deal with Mr. Ambani? He needs Reliance to process the heavy crude. Now, how they're structuring it, that is something beyond my intellectual ability at the moment. But I see no other reason why he would strike up with Reliance, right? Why would they strike up? So they could benefit. All of a sudden, they might benefit a lot. It's at a very, technically, it's at a massive, not a massive, but it's a strong enough support. It has another support here. I don't think Reliance should go below 200. I really don't. If Reliance goes below 1200, sorry. If Reliance goes below 1200, that means Nifty is going to 19,000. And then Reliance is going somewhere to 1,000 about. But I don't think so. There's too diversified. It's too diversified a stock. Even if the petroleum business does well, it has so many entities. One of them will gain. Yeah, so Jamnagar too, I mean, I would argue it's one of the best in the world. Processing heavy crude is not easy. All right, guys. This was amazing. I hope you guys, yeah, yeah, literally. So I hope you guys understand. Just remember that number, right? Just remember that I showed you I was 1,50,000 in loss in Nalco. And remember that shorting is 10 times riskier than going long because short covering in bear markets is toxic. It's literally meant to take traders bust. That's how traders go bust. So margin, 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 as much margin as possible. That's the way to go with. If you're thinking shorting, protect yourself as much as possible. Then make the best decision you can. But if you guys trust me at all, just make sure you have at least double, if not more, of the margin. At the very, very least. I play with more than that. I don't do intraday shag. Sometimes, I mean, I might see just a, like, I remember there was a day when the news came out of Rajesh Exports setting up a semiconductor plant. I had mentioned it on YouTube at 9 a.m., I think. I bought it 9 a.m. in the morning, 9:15 in the morning, and I sold it the same day. It went up 15, 16%. So sometimes some opportunities might arise that you know, but other than that, intraday, meaning the charts while trading, I don't do. Maybe I'll do it in the future if when I go into it. But for now, my next target is this. I want to see if options make. There are some strategies that can eliminate theta. If you guys understand what I mean by that, then I have a problem with the theta there because I can't time. Nobody can time the market, right? So until I find a way to either use that theta as to my advantage while minimizing risk, because selling options is very risky, or I find a way to eliminate the theta. So Sniper Dog, there's many ways. Yeah, first though you tell me your real name. I can't keep calling you Sniper Dog. But there are many ways to some way minimize risk, but they don't have the right risk to reward ratio. Because if I'm going for a covered call, I am selling, right? That means, or I'm buying futures, one way or another, whichever direction you take, I'm going to need a margin in net of at least around 2 lakh rupees. And net I might make 20,000 out of it. That means what is my profit? Like I'm making 10% of the margin I'm giving. I don't see that as strong enough because when I make a play, I'm giving a 2 lakh ka margin to make 1 lakh at least out of it. It might take me 3 months to make it, sometimes 6 months, I'll lose somewhere. But that's how I like to play with that money. That's why these simple strategies don't really work unless I can see a long term. Thank you so much, Raghav. It's it's been a while that I've spoken on stage. So you guys have helped me, obviously. It's been incredible. All right. Any other questions? I'll be here for one more minute in case you guys have any other questions. Otherwise, feel free. Shaq, so you send your profile. I mean, if they like your profile, then they ask details and whatnot. Then you send your profile, and then they make a final decision of whether one you fit into their theme or not. Because every TED Talk, TEDx has a theme. So you have to fit into that theme is one. This one, for example, has the theme of every end is a beginning. Then second, you have to be an expert at something, right? Like you have to be a proven expert at something. You don't have to be massively famous or something like that, because I'm not, right? But justifiably or demonstrably that you know what you're talking about in the field that you'll give a talk. That's what they mainly care about. As long as you justify that, then it's all about, does someone there think that you can say something interesting? That's what would have happened here, I'm guessing. Someone might have. So, yeah, it's not like you need to be a massive entrepreneur or something like that. That's it. So Shaq, when you say organic, the truth is I advertised through YouTube initially because I got the option on YouTube and I thought that was the right thing to do. I advertised, I got subscribers, all of them are real. But then when I got a YouTube channel manager, because I wasn't getting enough views, he explained to me that when I advertise a video on YouTube, it only gets me people who are interested in one video. So they don't watch another video. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes I made, because I got 100K subscribers, but every subscriber was only interested in one video. So when you say organic, I wouldn't call it organic when I got it. I didn't do anything wrong. I advertised on YouTube. They asked me if I want to advertise. I used an official channel to do that. As a touchwood, as a matter of principle, I never sacrifice on integrity. I I have never yet. Life has never put me in a bad enough position where I've had to. So I don't think I'd call it organic, but it's not something I bought. I didn't go out and tell like a farm to give me views or something like that. It's monetized, yeah. Thanks, man, Abhishek. It's very sweet of you. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. I wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Stay safe. I'm reiterating, right? Be very, very careful. If you're thinking about shorting, be very, very careful. The markets will always go up. They don't always fall. I would recommend books first, set you free. Yeah. I'd recommend some books first. It depends on what kind of trading you're looking to. Ask me next time. Most likely Wednesday, I'll show you the books. I'll be back home. I'll show you those books. Chalo. See you guys. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Good night.